Welcome. We're in Hartroot. This is Stein North with Camp Wilderness Thriving Fundamentals. And in this video I'm going to show you two methods of doing a square lashing to lash one pole to another. Okay, and this is used many times when you're building shelters. It's used to build camp tables. For building frames, the square lashing works every time. Now, I use them a lot when I'm building primitive traps, and keep this in mind of how to do these, because in my future video for doing a primitive body hold trap, I will have pre-done these on that trap. I won't be showing how to do these. So it's important to remember this if you go to that video. Okay, to start out with, I'm going to do two types of lashings, as I said. They're both square lashings. One's going to be a conventional lashing. That's the first one I'm going to do. Then I'm going to do one that's called a Japanese Mark II lashing. Now, and I'll call it the Mark II from this point forward. So we'll take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of each. And they both have the same strength, the same durability. There's nothing that makes one stronger than the other. It's just that you may have a preference on which one you prefer to tie. Okay, we're going to start with the conventional. First thing I do is I want to make a timber hitch, because the pole I'm going to lash to this, I want to get my line attached to that pole first. So I use a timber hitch. Now if you look real close, I just make a loop like this. Bring the line around, and I start wrapping it. Okay, you can see that, I hope. I've created a loop with several wraps that will cinch tight. Now I take the pole I'm using. And by the way, this cordage, it's about a half a dozen arm lengths, which is about 18 feet for me. And you'll see that it takes 18 feet to do a couple of poles that are just about 2 inches in diameter each. So it does take a fair amount of cordage. Okay, I've got my timber hitch in place. I've got it right up against the outside of this upright pole. Now I'm going to take my line, and I'm going to go around the back of that pole, and I'm going to bring it back around the front, right underneath this birch pole. Now I'm going to pull it nice and snug, and I'm going to go over the top and around the back again. Now as you can see, there's a lot of line to pull through. Now once I get to that point, now I'm going to stay to the outside of the first line. On the back side, I'm going to go to the top, or to the bottom and to the top as I wrap. Now I come around on the outside, and I go underneath the first original wrap around that pole. Bring it back out to the front, and I go to the outside of the first loop over the pole. And I fight with 18 feet of cordage. And I come back around, pull it through, and go over the top. Then back to the outside on this wrap around the birch pole. And I'll just do this real quick. Now, the nice thing about this square lashing is it's very strong, very durable. Now, as you do it, roll that pole a little bit and pull your line, because it'll cinch that up pretty tight. Just keep following the same method. On the bottom, to the outside, on the top, to the outside, to the bottom, to the outside, to the top, to the outside, 2, 4, 5. I want 6 wraps. This is giving me number 6. On the left-hand side, I still have only 5 on this side. I don't count the timber hitch. So I'll come over and around to the outside. Now that gives me 6 strands on each side. Now, just come around the back, come around this pole, come up and over between the 2 poles. Now we're doing the frapping portion. And that's going to wrap around these 6 lines and cinch them together and make it that much more durable. And you just pull that tight. Now if you wrapped it really good and tight to start with, there's going to be very little that you can do to pull those lines together, but it needs to be done. You need to frap it like this. 2 times, 3 times, your preference. If you got a lot of line, go ahead and go around it a few times. Then once you get to that point, you can come over this log, the horizontal pole if you wish, and you can throw a clove hitch on it. If you wish. Well, here I'm messing up. There we go. Not paying attention, of course. Can you imagine that? Okay, I threw a clove hitch in there. Now, I like to go, because all a clove hitch is 2 half hitches. I like to go 2-3 times. If I got the cordage, it doesn't hurt to go 4 times. It just makes it that much more secure. I'm having a heck of a time today. Okay. So, it's good and cinched tight. You're not going to move that. That'll handle any weight you want to put on there as long as the timber is strong enough. So there you go. Conventional square lashing. Now I'm going to pull this apart and I'm going to show you the Mark II, and I think you'll like the Mark II. If I had a preference between the two, I would do the Mark II, and I'll show you, and I think you'll catch on pretty quick why the Mark II is a little more user-friendly. So here we go. Now we're trying to unlash this. It's a lot of cordage, 18 feet, and you got to pull it all through. Now keep in mind, if you're building a frame that requires 4 out of 2-inch stock like this, and requires 4 square lashings, you're talking almost 80 feet of cordage. Now, all this is good information, and it all has a great purpose. The only issue I have is we that like to bushcraft love to use cordage. We talk about cordage all the time. Use it for this, use it for that. Now, you can use less wraps. You can go 4 wraps if you want. Reduce the amount of cordage you're using. But the fact of the matter is, it's still going to take a lot of cordage. So do you want to pack in 200-300 feet of cordage with you every time you go camping? You might want to avoid doing square lashings unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay, so now for the Mark II, take your 2 ends. Take your 2 ends, pull your line through, find the center. Okay, start at the center. Put the center around your vertical. Okay, you got your center loop. You got these 2 ends. Bring your pole up on top of it. See how it's suspended? Now here's what makes this easier. Take these 2 ends, move them to the back. Now you're using both hands doing this, and half the amount of cordage. Now all I did was cross it in the back. Okay? Now, same rule as before. tighten this up a little bit, get it so that you know it's going to be snug. Go to the outside of the first wrap. Bring it back, go underneath, and cross it. Okay? And bring it back to the front. Bring it up around the outside. Bring it to the top. Cross it. Do it again, around the outside. Bring it to the back. Cross it. Underneath. Bring it to the outside. Bring it to the back. Cross it. Bring it to the front on the outside. And that'll give us the 6 wraps we want. Now, just bring the 2 ends. Instead of going around the back, you're going to just come halfway. You're going to come halfway, and you're going to flip them over. And you're going to frap, okay? And you're going to frap from both directions. Get them good and snug. And I like to take 3 to 4 fraps when I'm doing the Mark II. And then you can just terminate this with a square knot, or you can do 2 clove hitches, 1 on each side. I usually do a square knot with a loop in it, so it's easy to untie. And there you have it. Now you've got another form of a square lashing. It's still got 6 lines, still got the same strength, and it took a fraction of the amount of time. It takes about half the time, but it makes sense. You folded the line in half, so you're only working with half the line, and you're using both hands constantly to wrap and to secure it. So the Mark II, I believe, is more convenient. And you're not tripping all over your line. And if it's muddy or rainy, you're not getting your line all soppy in the mud, because you're only working with half the amount of line at a time. So there you go. 2 lashing methods. Both have the same strength. Both have the same purpose for bushcrafting. You can build with either one of them. They both come in real handy. So with that, Sty wants to thank you for watching. And don't forget, we use these square lashings when we build our body hold traps. And if you watch this, you'll know how to tie those body hold traps together. And from Sty, Big Jim, and Rory, of course, we'd all like to ask you to hit that subscribe button, share our videos, and keep your eyes open for the videos following this one up. We've got videos on trapping, snaring, deadfalls. I'm going to have 2 videos. I take that back. I'm going to have 1 video probably on using 2 different types of ponchos to make emergency shelters with a poncho coming up. The primitive conibear body hold trap video is by a request from one of my subscribers, and so that one will be coming up soon. So thank you for joining us, and you all have a nice day.